Change your attitude, change your destiny. Seems pretty easy, but how do you do it? Well, quick little story. I have very few memories of ever flying in a plane, and if they were when I was a child, they were tiny little Cessnas or Beaver planes. But my first memory of flying in a 747 was when I was 21 years old. I flew from Anchorage, Alaska to Cleveland, Ohio, and it was amazing. It was an absolutely amazing experience. It started off pretty horrendous. I wasn't even sure if the plane would take off because it was miserable. It was the onset of winter in Alaska. There was hail, sleet, snow, rain, and truly I wasn't even sure. It had been a storm for like a week or 10 days or more. And when that plane finally took off, it seemed like a miracle in itself. And then to push through, I mean, it was such a low cloud ceiling. And then to push through that huge cloud bank to get above the storm was amazing. To see the Chugach Range sparkling and glittering in the sun, the snow-covered mountains, was just jaw-dropping. And in that moment, I realized something that I knew logically, which is that the sun was always shining above the clouds in the storm. But I knew it viscerally. I knew it experientially in that moment. And I hung on to that. I knew there was a connection, a deep connection. I knew that a pilot had an instrument called an attitude indicator that was used in flying to indicate what their relation was to the earth below, and that attitude indicator would let them know if they were rising up into the stratosphere, if they were maintaining their position above the earth, or if they were on a downward course for a terrible crash landing on the earth. And this instrument was called an attitude indicator, very much in relation to the attitude, meaning the direction that the plane would be going. And so hear this: change your attitude, change your destiny. The insight, though, was not in that moment. I knew these were pieces of the puzzle coming together for me, but the final piece came together when I was studying psychology in Arizona at a private liberal arts school. And I was taking a child development class, and in this class I learned about a key child development stage at the age of like 8 to 10 months called object permanence. And it's the precursor to this is why the game of hide and seek is so amazing to a child and delightful, because object permanence is the stage that comes when a child realizes fundamentally that something will continue to exist even if they cannot see it, touch it, hear it, or taste it. And so prior to that, that's when you play hide and seek, they think when you've hidden your face that you have completely disappeared and that you are gone forever. And that when you reappear, that you have reappeared forever. It's kind of like, when you go out the door and you leave your dog behind. I don't know if they sometimes have that object permanent. They think you're gone forever. But this fundamental developmental stage is a benchmark. Jean Piaget, one of the Swiss child development gurus, he was well known in this in the whole industry. His take on this stage was that it was one of the most important accomplishments of a child's development, because without this concept, objects had no permanent existence, and it was like the beginning of reasoning and the beginning of problem solving. And so when I flew above those clouds, what I realized is it was the beginning for me of hope, what I call hope permanence. And it was, for me, this place of emotional or spiritual, this revelation and understanding that no matter what happened in the storms of my life, there was a place that I could fly above those storms, knowing that those storms were limited and that there was possibility beyond it. And so what was key for me also to realize was that children have to learn, this is a stage, and it's a developmental milestone, but it takes a while to learn. And just like a pilot learning to fly with that attitude indicator, I needed to learn how my attitude changed everything, how my attitude about the storm, my attitude about my circumstances was totally influential, and my destiny, my future, my success was directly related to my ability to get above that storm. And so it was a that was the beginning of this crystallization in my understanding and my formation of like, I don't know, like, well, I would later also call it a, how your biggest problem is your greatest opportunity, but this place of beginning to live in success, even though your circumstances don't look like they're successful. A place of living in victory, even though you haven't yet won your battles. And I'll talk about that another time. But for today, I leave you with this, that you can have hope permanence. You too can set your course so that by changing your attitude, you can change your destiny. You can set that course to rise above those storms in life, and understand that it takes time. Give yourself grace. It takes time to learn this. You have to put it into practice. And I would love to fuel your journey. So thank you for listening. Please like, share, subscribe. My name is Andrea Brown. This is Thrival Now. It's a new YouTube channel where my desire and my commitment is to help you go from survival to thrival in your health, wealth, and relationships. Thanks for sharing your time with me today.